First thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to figure out what shape you're going to want your platter to be. The best way to do this, I find, is to just cut a piece of paper into smaller pieces of paper. In this case, I cut it into 4 pieces so that you have something to play with. So for my first attempt here, I'm going to take the paper and fold it into 4. Once I fold it into 4, I'm going to use my scissors and kind of like cutting snowflakes, I'm going to cut the corner and I'm going to cut a shape out. When I open up that shape, I can take a look at it and say, hey, that looks pretty good, or uh-oh, that just looks like a football. If I don't like it, I'm going to fold it back up, take the scissors, and cut out a different shape. Now you still have 3 more pieces of paper you can experiment with, trying all kinds of different shapes. Once you get a shape you like and you decide that's the shape you want your platter, you're going to use that to help you make a bigger one. So for the bigger one, take a large piece of paper and fold it into 4, just like you did with the small one. Take the small one and fold it back up into 4 so that you can see what the shape was that you cut, and you can try to match that shape on the larger one. Keep in mind, if you're not completely satisfied when you open it, you can also fold it back up and trim it a little more. After you have the size and shape of your final piece, you're going to need to transfer that onto cardboard. I just took this old cereal box and I opened it up on the seams to get my cardboard. It doesn't have to be cereal. It could be a pizza box. It could be anything with this thickness of cardboard. The thicker the cardboard, the sturdier the mold, but the harder it is to cut with your scissors. With this cardboard, what I can do is open it up and then just cut along the seams to get a nice, clean, straight piece of cardboard. Before you cut the rest of it, you can just check and make sure that it's big enough with the paper template that you made. Then go ahead and repeat this process on the other piece of cardboard. The easiest way to transfer the shape onto the cardboard is to just trace it. You can use your pencil and trace around the edges. Notice how I'm holding it down with one hand as I trace so that it doesn't move around. If you want to check and make sure you trace the whole thing, just hold one side down as you flip it back to look. Next, you're just going to cut this piece out using your scissors, but you don't want to cut in from the side because it'll weaken the mold. So I used a pencil to poke a hole in the center, and that way my scissors could fit through the hole to cut the outside. I also found it was easy if I cut an X shape in it first to get to all the edges. Next, you're going to use the foam core to create spacers to sandwich between the 2 layers of cardboard. To make these spacers, I'm going to need to cut the foam core into little pieces. I need a minimum of 12 little pieces of foam core. So if you have 2 pieces of foam core, you can cut a few more. It's always fine to have extra, but if you only have 1 piece, make sure you get at least 12 pieces from that strip. The reason you need 12 pieces is you're going to glue them together, 3 stacked on top of each other, and then you'll have 4 total spacers to put around the piece. Next, you're going to be using the Mod Podge to glue these pieces together. Mod Podge can be messy, so I recommend getting a piece of scrap paper underneath your work surface before you do this. The depth of your mold is going to be 3 pieces of foam core thick, so you're going to use the Mod Podge to glue together 3 pieces at a time. Continue this process with the rest of the pieces of foam core, each time making sure you've glued them 3 high. Time for an important reminder. Do not forget to clean your brush. If you let the Mod Podge dry in the bristles at all, your brush will be ruined. So before you do anything else, get all of the Mod Podge out using soap and water. Now you need to glue your spacers in between the 2 layers of cardboard. Before you glue anything down, you're going to want to play with your layout of these. As I said before, you're going to need 4 as a minimum, but if you have more, it's even better. So start moving them around and find the best placement for them to be equally spaced and to also make sure that they don't poke out into the open space of the mold. When they're spaced exactly as you want them, then you're going to glue them in place. So once again, you're going to use the Mod Podge, pick up the foam core piece, put a little glue underneath it, and then apply it back down where you lifted it from. The last part is that you have to glue the solid piece of cardboard down on top of this. So apply more Mod Podge to the top of all of your spacers and then flip the cardboard over on top of this, pressing down lightly to get everything in place. Before you're finished, you're just going to want to flip the mold back over and make sure none of the spacers moved while you were applying pressure. If they moved to the point where you could see them through the open hole, you need to move them back out of the way so that they don't get in the way of the clay when you slump it into the mold. Then you just need to let your mold dry overnight. And once again, remember to clean your brush. Yes, you may have to clean it more than once, but you do not want that glue to dry in the bristles or it will be ruined. So remember this important tip.